Well, I suppose to put it simply, it's the internet. So I think around 2008, the cloud terminology came out there, and yeah, it was just another word to call the internet. From there, this whole ecosystem has been set up around the cloud. We used to call it, prior to 2008, hosting. So we went and changed a lot of our marketing around cloud, and I think a lot of other companies did as well. The cloud computing is a lot different from the cloud. Cloud computing is just putting internet and computing together. So that ultimately is where you put your software and your data on the internet. You're hosting it on a server and somebody's looking after it. Traditionally, people used to buy a server, put it in their office, sometimes have it sitting under a desk, like an actual large computer which held all their intellectual property, basically all their data, all their Word documents and Excel documents, had it sitting on a server. Now, with the introduction of the cloud, that's changing. It's moving out from underneath people's desks, and it's being hosted in a data centre, and it has a lot of security controls attached to it. And that's a good thing, because at the end of the day you're actually introducing things like disaster recovery, proper backups and things like that. The types of cloud offerings you get basically two categories. You'll get infrastructure cloud offerings, and then you also get software. Now, infrastructure offerings is around basically just moving that server, hosting it in a data centre. That allows people to, instead of connecting to the local server, they're connecting over the internet to their server. It's in a data centre, it's backed up, it's got fantastic security controls, it's well looked after. Now, software infrastructure is slightly different. You don't actually own any of the hardware or the space. You're just renting the software instead over the internet. So you would get typical providers in that space, your Google Apps, your Office 365, and a lot of the accounting ones being Xero, QuickBooks and MyOb. They've changed their traditional way of running their software on a computer and moved it in over the internet, and everyone accesses it using a browser. And going back to the infrastructure services, that is purely if you want to actually move all your data and have that sitting over the internet, and you connect to your server that way. And there's a massive range of different services that are connected to that. Yeah, and that's a good question, because at the end of the day, the concerns for people is they can't see it anymore. I think it can be at the end of the day. It comes down to how it's configured, who it's actually hosted with. You want to partner with a strong partner, somebody who's reliable, somebody who if you have an issue you can pick up the phone. But at the end of the day, by hosting it with a large provider, you do get access to a lot of those security controls, and it's basically in the form of economies of scale at the end of the day. They're able to provide high-end security controlled equipment, and a typical client, they wouldn't be able to get access to that sort of those sort of services. So yeah, it can be very secure, but it depends on who you host with, and you should really ask the questions. Well, what is the infrastructure like? You can host your servers with a hosting provider like your Microsoft or your Amazon. They're the high-end ones, but it comes with a price tag at the end of the day. And when you've got a problem, who do you call? So you want to ask the right questions and find out, how secure is it? What are you actually running? What are your security controls? Do you have a disaster recovery? All those sorts of questions. So I suppose the biggest challenge is performance at the end of the day. People are excited over the cloud because they think they don't have to have a server anymore. They don't have to look after it. It's going to be cheap. But when you move that data and you put it over the internet, a lot of people forget about the link. They forget about their internet link. So you seriously got to have a look at the performance of that link and upgrade it. Yes, you'll save money on the server, but you will increase your internet usage and the speed attached with it. A lot of companies use basic ADSL lines. Now that is the same technology that runs in a typical residential home. You shouldn't really run a business over that. If you're moving your data and your software from a local office and then moving it over to the internet, you're basically cutting your speed. You're going from a gigabit type of connection, a really fast connection, and going down to a kilobit connection upload. If you're going to move to the cloud, you have to factor in the cost of upgrading your internet links. I believe it is, and you have to factor in all the costs. You have to factor in all the intangible and tangible costs. A lot of people get in the trap of only factoring in tangible costs. You need to look at the intangible ones, and the intangible costs are maybe your staff actually constantly doing break-fix type duties, supporting people or supporting the server in the office. Constant interruptions because the server goes down, having to manage backups, all those sorts of things. If you factor in those costs, then yes, it is a cheaper solution or thereabouts. Obviously the link costs go up, but likewise you don't have to pay for an IT support consultant to come on site as much. Everything can be done remotely. Not everything, there's always the occasional thing that can't be done, like a PC not working. But yeah, if somebody takes in all those scenarios and all those costs, you would pretty much guarantee that it would be cheaper.